The largest grand entrance on a 60-foot wide lot is right here in Georgetown, Texas. And this model home is packed with upgrades, including 4 big upgrades you can do upstairs. Stick with me for a great home tour. Now this is the Zavalla plan built by Coventry Homes. Now later on in the video, I'm going to show you inventory homes that are for sale in this neighborhood called Parkside on the River. I'm going to tell you all about pricing, but stick with me on this new model home here in Georgetown, Texas, because like I mentioned earlier, it's got one of the largest grand entrances that I've seen on plans that can be built on 60-foot wide lots like this plan. Now this home is over 3,200 square feet. It has 4 bedrooms, 3 full bathrooms, but like I mentioned earlier, the upgrades that you can do are endless. At the time I'm recording this video, there's a powder bathroom that you can add downstairs. You can also add it upstairs. There's a couple full bathrooms that you can add upstairs. There's so much going on, and I'm gonna walk you through it in full detail, and I'm gonna show you tall ceilings everywhere, which you see here in the living room, we saw in the grand entrance, and I'm gonna show you different upgrades throughout this home tour, not just structural upgrades like that sliding glass door, but design upgrades that are amazing. Now, my name is Raj Sahu. I'm a realtor in Austin, Texas, and I've represented clients with 22 different builders. So I'm going to give you the perspective of walking through these homes with many different clients. I also had multiple clients build their home from scratch with Coventry, even in this neighborhood and different neighborhoods that are just north of here. So I'll talk about that experience throughout this video. Now, that all starts right here in the kitchen, where so many people tell me in the Zavalla plan, it's all about the kitchen island. The size is massive, and then you can do fun things like this, like put in a contrast in colors, wrap that kitchen island in something fun. Love the bookshelves that are here, so you can put some things in there, just kind of break up that wall, and then everything matches up, or I should say contrasts against these exterior cabinets, but the countertops match up so well. And that countertop with those large veins running through it is run into the backsplash, going up to this under cabinet vent hood. But what I love most is when we turn back to the kitchen island, because of the size, you can do so many fun things like this countertop that is probably one of the biggest upgrades that I've seen in this kitchen, simply because they ran into the backsplash, but mostly because I love it. So many of my clients love it. They love that fun contrast that's kind of forcing your eyes to look up, but also matches up really well with the colors in this kitchen. Now, what so many people tell me they love most about this model home is if you look outside, which we're going to get to in a couple of minutes, there's lots of greenery, and that's why people come out to this neighborhood called Parkside on the River. There's so much great topography and greenery around this neighborhood, and it really resonates with people that are looking to move to the Austin, Texas metro. Now, I'm not sure if that skeleton on the floor is what resonates with people, but take that with a grain of salt. I'm shooting this about a month and a half before Halloween, and so that's why that's there. At least I'm assuming that that's the case, but there was also a lot of salt in that pantry. That's what I noticed, but I tend to be a little bit more detail-oriented, and that's why I notice these things. So moving on to the dining room, it's an 8-seater table, and I love how they put 3 transom windows on the right side. There are a lot of people that tell me in the master plan communities they don't like having neighbors right next to each other, and that is the case in a lot of the master plan communities that are out there. But I like that they put those transom windows up top. Still gives you some privacy, but still brings in a lot of natural light, and that's what people tell me they want as much as possible. Also, people tell me they want as much greenery around them as possible. And later on in the video, I'm going to show you one of my clients' amazing views off their backyard. They built with Coventry on a 70-foot wide lot. I've had multiple buyers on a 70-foot wide lot and 60-foot wide lot in this community. And one of them has an unbelievable view on their backyard. In fact, do you see all that greenery there in the distance? And then there's some houses all the way past that mature tree. I don't know if you caught it, but that's actually one of their houses. So they have an amazing view that looks out to greenery, and it's incredible. And they built a Haskell plan that ended up being, I think, around 4,000 square feet with all the different structural upgrades they were able to do. But like I said earlier, there are a lot of inventory homes for sale. Let me show you one of them. Hey, real quick, later on in the video, I'm going to show you some homes that are for sale and cover pricing. Like one of them is this Zavalla plan that's currently being built. It's almost finished, but they're just sprinkling the backyard to make sure that grass stays lush. And wow, that sprinkler is getting really close. But
This is what I mean of Parkside on the River. You have some great greenery in some of these homes. Some of these are tagged. I gotta figure out what's going on back here, but you can get some great privacy, some great greenery back here, depending on the lot. So stick with me. I'm gonna cover some homes for sale later on in the video, cover pricing at that time. Back to the video. Okay, getting back into the home here, there's still a lot to see. I actually wanna show you this living room in full detail, just so you get the feeling that I got being in this same plan in a Super Bowl party that had about 80 to 100 people in here. And then we're gonna get to the primary bedroom, bathroom that's next. It's right around the corner there. And then upstairs, wait until you see the game room, media room, and some of the upgrades that we'll cover throughout this home tour. Now, what most people tell me they love about these plans with Coventry is that option for the fireplace and then running a tile all the way up to the ceiling, just so you have a good design element on this wall that pretty much counters the kitchen, right? That way the kitchen has all those great upgrades, but if this wall is just blank, it's nice to have something that accents this wall so it mirrors all the great upgrades that are in the kitchen. Now, something that's a little bit polarizing about this living room is going to be the TV off to the side. Let me know what you thought about that. I was supposed to turn off that TV, but I felt like, yeah, let's just keep it running and let's see what you think about it and pretend that there's like a ball game there off to the side. Some people prefer that a little bit more centered, meaning the fireplace would be in the center and then you could do built-ins on either side. There are plans that you can do that with Coventry. I've had my clients do that, and then you can put wiring above the fireplace mantle. That way you can put TV there. And pretty much almost every single one of my clients have done that, but some people don't really have a preference, or they're okay with the TV being off to the side and they actually prefer it in some cases, just because the fireplace does move the TV a little bit higher. And I've had other people build with other builders and they didn't want the TV very high, and then they had to debate the fireplace. Maybe they're talking about removing the mantle, different things like that. Then we had to talk about, well, is the fire, if you're actually using it, is it going to damage the TV? So many questions that come up when you're building from scratch, but these are the fun variables to talk about that I think do matter, because that's a living room that you're going to be spending a lot of time in. You're also going to be spending a lot of time in here. This is the primary bedroom, full bathroom right attached to it. Let me know what you thought about this accent wall. I think that's a really cool dark touch that matches some of the design elements that were in the kitchen. You remember the darker kitchen island, the darker cabinet hardware that was in the kitchen. And then what I want you to think about doing for what Coventry is offering at the time of recording this video is in the primary bedroom, you can do a bay window. And what that does is it adds, I believe, a little bit of square footage, adds some windows in that area. I'm not exactly sure how many at the time I'm recording this. These things do change over time. But I've had clients do that, a bay window option in their primary bedroom. I believe there's an option for the dining area to also have a bay window. And of course, before making a buying decision, double check these things before buying. And in most cases, you need to select the structural upgrades before you even contract. And so these are the things that my clients are thinking about before we even get to the table to potentially sign a contract, lock in a lot, pick a floor plan. We're weighing our options and also calculating this into our budget. You know, oftentimes people want to say, well, what does this floor plan look like in costs compared to other floor plans with other builders? And what I got to tell you is I have Excel sheets on Excel sheets. They're actually Google Sheets, I should say. And those Google Sheets have all the costs of all these plans, depending on what upgrades you really value. And so we just have to take things out, add them on, then we got to add lot premium, then we got to put together a budget for the design studio. And these are the things that my clients are figuring out to get to a final price range. And then it's much easier to make decisions on what your top floor plans are once you have a broad idea of what you're going to spend. When I say broad idea, we can usually get within 30,000, 20, 30,000, give or take, of where we're probably going to land, just based on some basic variables that we really value in a home. Now, some of those other upgrades that are going to be in here that I'll try to cover, I'm not going to get to all of them because Coventry does offer quite a bit of structural upgrades One of them is going to be that sliding glass door that's in the living room. I think they do that on almost every single plan. We saw that earlier. There are some design upgrades that I could talk about, but getting back into the structural upgrades, and actually, just so you know, the utility room is attached in with a primary closet, so that way you don't have to take your dirty laundry throughout your home. You can just pop in there, and this is where your washer and dryer would be. And then one of the upgrades that you can do, I'm gonna say it again, at the time I'm recording this video, is put a powder bathroom right here, and then you can make the secondary bedroom have an in-suite full bathroom. Now, for some people, they tell me that that's really important to them because when they look at these homes, they got a couple move from Seattle. I have a lot of people calling me from Seattle, and what they told me is the homes that they're looking at in Seattle are older. A lot of the homes that they're looking at in Seattle that are older have primary bedroom and most bedrooms upstairs. If there is a bedroom downstairs, it's too tiny, and then there's no attached bath. So, the guests, if they're coming over and their parents are in the shower staying with them on the first floor, then it's a bit awkward, right? Their guest has to kind of share that bathroom with the same bathroom their parents are using while they're staying here, not just for weeks, but for months. And the best part about this plan is you can do it exactly how I just mentioned. You have that secondary bedroom that we just saw. It does have a full bathroom accessible from the hallway. You can do a walk-in shower in here. Usually you do get an offer for a mud set shower. At least most of my clients have done that in their secondary bathroom. But again, you also have that upgrade that would turn this bathroom into an in-suite full bathroom. And that means you can only access it from the bedroom. And for people that are planning to, like my clients from Seattle, or planning to have their parents stay with them, not just for weeks, but for potentially months, they really value that privacy. And that's the best part. They can choose their upgrades and really select the upgrades that they're going to use. Now, this isn't an upgrade, this is a study, and this is absolutely mandatory in a community like this called Parkside on the river. Just to be very clear, that opening is where your garage would be, but you wouldn't enter from here. They just have that open as a builder agent's office, and that's because this is a model home. It's for representation purposes only, but eventually they will sell the home, and then I believe they will plug that wall in most cases, and that wouldn't be there. But this study will be here, and this study is fantastic for so many reasons. I think people are still working from home, and I think a lot of my clients that have called me from Seattle, or they're in the Bay Area in California, or they're in LA, mostly just around California, I should say. If it's Seattle or Bay Area, California, they're usually in tech. And for so many people, they still have that work from home element. And then I do believe people are trying to plan ahead. And right now that's really difficult. And that's because of the uncertainty that AI has brought into the market. And I'm gonna cover that in a little bit of detail. And then I would love to hear from you in the comments on if you have an opinion on how AI is changing the tech field. What do you think it has to do with your job? At the time I'm recording this, the stock market's at an all-time high. I feel like, it keeps going up and down like it always does. But right now, overall, the sentiment is people are bullish on AI. But most people, I think, that are in tech are thinking about their job, and they were not thinking about job security back in 2021. At that time, from what I was told from a lot of our clients, is it was more about how big of a sign-on bonus can they get from a big tech company. Can they get RSUs, which are restricted stock units? Can they get that as a sign-on bonus, and then the tech company wants to keep them there for 2 to 3 years until it's vested? And that was the game that most people were playing. And a lot of my clients are sitting on RSUs and using that to try to get loans, or they have to show it to their mortgage broker, which is annoying because for mortgages, they gotta know where every single penny is. And that is the big topic. Getting back to the point of what's happening is people are bullish on AI, but what does that mean for their job? And for that reason, I think at the time I'm recording this, more people are looking at inventory homes. Inventory homes, like one of them that we're gonna get to a little bit later, that are completed or near completion, and that way the builder's able to do a rate buy down, and then you don't pick all your upgrades. The upgrades are already chosen for you, but you tend to get better pricing on those inventory homes. And then the interest rate buy down is the big pain point in the market. Now, the only tough part about that is when you build from scratch, you can pick a lot of the options. Like one of those options right now is this media room, which a lot of people telling me they value having on their second floor. So if this is a hangout area, or you have a TV here, this game room, it's not like a loft like some of the other plans with Coventry. It's a little bit more closed in, but you still are right next to the living room, right? So this is what people want. They want open concept homes, but they don't want to feel like they live on top of each other. And sometimes when you got a TV going on in the living room, you got a TV going on in the game room, you kind of feel like you're on top of each other, even though you're on a 2-story plan. And that's where having that media room upgrade is fantastic. Now, at the time I'm recording this video, you can also do a 5th bedroom bathroom option, which would put a bedroom and a full bathroom over there. You could also do a powder bathroom on the 2nd floor over there. I don't believe you could do the media room if you do either of those. Actually, I think all of them are exclusive, meaning you can't do any of those 3 together. You just have to pick one. And then the other upgrade, which I really like, is adding another bathroom on this side of the 2nd story. So each of these bedrooms then would have a full bathroom, or you can do a Jack and Jill full bathroom. Now, both of those that I just mentioned, you're not gonna see that in here, right? It's just a full bathroom that's accessible from the hallway. But this is the beauty of building these plans, picking the upgrades that you really value, but also, changing around your budget. And this is a big factor. A lot of people start looking at homes first, and then they figure out their budget second. And that is really difficult to do. What I'd recommend is doing the opposite. I would go deep into what you think your monthly payment is ideal. What's your monthly payment that's a little bit over ideal? And then what's under? What's your real safe monthly payment that would make you feel really comfortable? And those are 3 different numbers, and that's your monthly payment. And why I care more about monthly payment is because that's what you're gonna be paying every month, right? Chances are you're not gonna pay off this house over the next 30 years. Most people are moving every, I believe it's 4 to 7 years. Somewhere in that time range is the average, depending on the area, depending on the house, depending on the square footage. But when you have people that are moving that much, people tend to buy these, and if you're selling in 5 to 7 years, then what matters less is not necessarily the price of the home, it's that monthly payment. And that monthly payment can be very different on some of these homes, especially if you can get the builder to buy the interest rate down. Or I have some people that are feeling really good about interest rates eventually coming down, so they just try to get the biggest discount they can on their home. And that way their monthly payment is potentially a little bit higher than they like temporarily, but they're betting on the fact that interest rates will eventually come down. And I say betting because I do think it's exactly that. It's a bet, right? If anybody thinks, oh, they definitely will go down by a certain date, all of those people have been wrong over the last 5 years. And then whoever's right 1 year is always wrong the next year, right? So it's not like anybody has that crystal ball right now for interest rates. Everybody's speculating, but the beauty of being around new construction is, number one, you have a lot of options right now to choose from. Number two, if you can start with that monthly payment, that monthly payment budget of what you're looking to do every single month, rather than looking at just prices of homes, then it's much easier to work backwards from there. And when I say work backwards, we can then look at inventory homes, see what our options are, see what our monthly payment is, and we can start looking at options like this. Now, this is the Winters plan built by Coventry Homes. Now, the sale price on this home is $859,000, but I'm gonna tell you something in a minute that matters so much more than the price of this home. This home has 4 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms, a 3-car tandem garage, and it's for sale in Parkside on the river. We're just shy of 3,500 square feet. Now, I'm gonna talk about a plan that still has not been fully built out in the entire Austin, Texas metro area. It makes this plan look a little bit more modern. It's got straight edges. So if you prefer modern straight edges, Stick with me. I'll talk a lot about that other plan called the Motley plan and compare that to the Winters plan, which has a little bit more curves. But hey, if you like natural light, you like windows everywhere, you like tall ceilings, stick with me because this plan is for sale at the time I'm recording this. And what matters way more is going to be the interest rate buy down. And I'm going to give you some numbers here in a second that I think could blow your mind if you've never looked at monthly payments for a home previously and how much change there can be when the builder is buying the interest rate down. Now, starting here in the kitchen, what you have on the Winters plan is a curved countertop kitchen island, really opens up into that living room. We got a backsplash above this 5-burner gas stovetop going to an under cabinet vent hood. And then I'm gonna get to the outdoor patio area, the dining, living room, which is all wide open. And I'm gonna cover some more pricing of some homes that you can build or buy on a 50, 60, and 70 foot wide lot here in Parkside on the river. Now, starting with that interest rate buy down, to kind of give you a perspective, this home is listed at $859,000. So making some assumptions here, let's say you hypothetically put 20% down to buy this home. As of right now, at the time I'm recording this, there is a 2.99% interest rate buy down from Coventry on some homes, okay? And I'm not gonna quote which ones in this video because it changes constantly, and these are things that you want to double check before obviously making a buying decision or exploring it, but that's right on their website right now, 2.99%. So if you look at the difference, let's say you don't get a 3% interest rate, you get a 4% interest rate. What is the difference if just 1%? Approximately, that's about $400 to $500 a month in interest that you're saving between 3 compared to 4%. If you go up to 5%, that's an additional $500 a month compared to 4%. And if you keep going here, it ends up being about $400 to $550 a month every 1% that you go up right now. And why I bring that up is because if you're looking at interest rates around 6%, compared to interest rates around 3%, that's approximately over a $1,200 difference a month. And so for some people that are looking to sell homes on the resale market and they're up against a builder, or you're comparing a resale home to a builder, just keep in mind, if the builder's buying the interest rate down, maybe they're even covering closing costs, they got electrical up in the wall for a TV and different things that you want in your home, well, that is the difference of tens of thousands of dollars. Even if you have the same priced home on a resale market compared to new construction, and the builder's covering your closing costs, and they're saving you approximately, let's call it $800 to $1,200 a month, that is so much in savings in your pocket. It's about $30,000 plus over the course of a year of just living in this home that you're saving, even if the prices are exactly the same. And that's the difference that I'm pointing out. And that's not to promote builders. There's pros and cons to these options. That's just to say that this is the state of the market. That's why builders have ramped up. In a community north of here that's building 10,000 homes, 72% of the homes year to date that have sold this year are inventory homes, not built from scratch. And so even luxury home builders are just taking their lots and they're building these inventory homes, because when they have an inventory home like this one that is completed or near completion, then once they know that completion dates and when they can close out the home, they can do an interest rate buy down. Whereas when you build from scratch, some builders are offering interest rate lock-ins when you build from scratch, but I found in most cases they're just not as lucrative or beneficial as some of these homes that are already completed. And for that reason, a lot of builders at the time I'm recording this video are building homes left and right, inventory homes, and then doing either discounts, doing interest rate buy downs, covering closing costs, or sometimes they're checking a lot of those boxes that I just mentioned. Sometimes all of them. It just depends on the situation, the home, the community. Now, we'll say this, Parkside on the River compared to other locations that I've looked at that I don't want to put down in a public-facing video, because again, I don't know when you're watching this. Real estate does change over time, so I'm not trying to be vague. I do know the market really well, but I can't advise you through a public-facing video. I don't even know what your criteria is. But I can tell you there are other metros across the Austin, Texas metro, like one of those suburbs had 4 new build neighborhoods 3 years ago. Now they have over 15, okay? That increase of supply needs a ton of demand to go to that area. And right now, that area is not getting a lot of demand, okay? Right now, that's not Parkside on the River, okay? Parkside on the River is situated well. It's north of the tech companies that have come to Austin, one of them being Apple, who built their second headquarters 15 miles northwest of the city. We are northwest Austin, Texas Metro. We're in West Georgetown right now. And that's why builders, I think, are pretty confident. They're building inventory homes a lot in this area, and they're still doing well. I am monitoring how many sales are going on in each of these neighborhoods. And that's Parkside on the River is doing let's say relatively better than some of the other new build neighborhoods that I've seen. Doesn't mean it's a hot market, doesn't mean prices are gonna skyrocket after you watch this video. It doesn't mean any of that, okay? It just means that situationally, I'm looking at these markets, asking myself, what's the increase in supply? What's the demand look like? And what do I think is gonna happen over the next 6 to 12 months? And that's something I'm constantly talking about with my clients, with my realtor partners. And so depending on your criteria, I gotta tell you, I've had polar opposite advice for 2 clients that are looking at the same time, but they have different criteria. One of them was very particular on the facing of the lot, had to face in a certain direction. It was northeast. They were pretty much limited to 2 communities just based on their preferences. And an opportunity came up and I said, look, this is a good opportunity for your criteria. I don't think we're gonna have a lot more opportunities come up that fit what you're looking for in the near future. I'm not projecting that. And they are building their home from scratch. Actually, they've been building for several months now, and they're closing this month. And they're so excited, even though there was a little bit of anxiety of, building from scratch in this current market, they feel really good about their option. I actually have 3 people closing on their new builds this month, and they all bought really good opportunities. Now, here's the thing. I've also had clients who have different criteria looking around at the same time, a little bit more open, more options. And some of the areas that they're looking at, I'm thinking there's a new phase coming up in 3 months. There's another new phase coming up in 6 months. There's another builder opening up 2 communities close by over here. And I'm looking at that area thinking, why would you buy right now? There's gonna be 2-3 times the amount of inventory in 3 to 6 months. That's wild. That's not a good time to buy for that specific area. And again, I'm being vague because if people take these names and then they what ends up happening is I did that once in a video and people sent that to other people, and it was 9 months later after I posted the video. And then I get angry calls from people saying, hey, you're advising people to not buy in a certain area. And I said that video was 9 months ago. It was at the time of recording this video. So I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that's a little bit of the things that I have to go through having a channel that's, fairly popular. That's, I don't really post short videos anymore. I did it for a little. So all my views are long form. I actually have 190,000 hours of watch time at the time I'm recording this. That's not a brag. That's just to say that for some reason this is getting a lot of exposure. And that's why when I provide this advice, I'm telling you it's all situational. You have to dig into the details to understand whether these are good opportunities or bad opportunities. Okay, now I know I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but hopefully that gets you some value, and I think you can kind of navigate through this home yourself. Like, we just went through a secondary bedroom that has an en-suite full bathroom. We saw a powder bath at the primary bedroom previously. We saw a study opposite of that secondary bedroom downstairs. But wow, as soon as you get upstairs, just take a look at this. Take a look at the greenery. Take a look at the greenery and the windows that are around here. I almost said view, but I want to be careful with that because that is a house that's being constructed. And while we go through this game room, just know there are a lot of upgrades that you can do to this home. Like, you can add a media room. I believe that's right over there. You can also add a 5th bedroom and a full bathroom. So you can do you can do a lot of options when you're building from scratch. But for these inventory homes, the benefit of this is that you get a lot of the interest rate buy downs incentives that I talked about. Okay, so going through that, again, this home was originally listed for sale over $890. It's currently at $859. They also currently have a Zavalla plan that we saw earlier. It's actually right next door to this home. That's currently listed at $814,000. And then some of the deeper discounts that are here, like they have a Hideaway plan, which is one of their most popular 1-story plans, about 2,800 square feet. It's a 4-bed, 4-bath home, that's discounted down to $674,000. Now they're saying there's no incentives or offers on that price, so they remove the interest rate buy down on that, and I'm pretty much just selling it as is. That's why the price is so low. And then they have a Willis plan. They actually have a bunch of Willis plans currently for sale, somewhere between $740 and $815 for the price. Now, what's most interesting, I think, about all this is you have this plan that's fairly big. It's missing the meeting room. That would even add more square footage to this plan. But you also have different communities that Coventry is building in. So this is Parks on the River. I do like this community because there are a lot of forever homes planned for here. I find when a lot of the homes are below 2,000 square feet, those homes become communities become very transitory. They end up having a lot of rentals in them, and so people are constantly moving in and out. And I don't mean this in a pretentious way. Nobody needs to buy a huge home. I've had people close in Parks on the River at 2,000 square feet, at 2,300 square feet, at 2,700 square feet. So I've had people not buy over 3,000 square feet. With that being said, when you have a lot of homes around you that are over 3,000 square feet and you're buying anywhere in that community, these are not likely going to turn into rentals because the price to rent ratio does not make sense at a high enough square footage. And so you end up having people buy these homes and they stay in them long term because they got multiple bedrooms, they got multiple bathrooms, they feel open concept, and they can see them living in them for 4 to 10 years. And when those communities shut off for new construction and you have people staying in the community for 4 to 10 years, sometimes even longer, those communities tend to fare really well. And the simple reason why is there aren't many resales on the market. A lot of people stay in their home long term. And there's a prestige factor that comes into the community. People strive to be in communities where a lot of people are staying here long term, so they can buy in here and establish themselves in a community that's gonna stay there long term. They can live there long term and feel like it's very livable because they're in an open concept home like this, while still being around neighbors that they really value that are staying in there long term as well. Okay, a lot more communities that I could talk about that I'll keep publishing here on my channel. Lariat is another community that Coventry's in that I think is doing really well. Community I mentioned before that's got 10,000 homes being built, Santa Rita Ranch, that's north of here. And then there are some emerging communities that I'm excited to start showcasing here on my channel because I like where they're going. There's a lot more forever homes going in that area, open concept homes where I'm expecting people to stay long term. And there's developments happening around those communities. So if you want a good list of what that looks like, reach out to me and my realtor partners. My information is at the bottom of the description of this video. You can also scan the QR code that's on the left side of your screen. That will get you over to a text message. All you gotta do is click send after you scan that QR code, and then that will connect us together. And then I can have a short chat with you via text, understand what your best options are from there, and then connect you with one of my realtor partners to really help you in your home search. Now, if you want to see my client's home that built the Haskell plan in this community of Parks on the River, go ahead and scan or go ahead and click on the left side of your screen. And by the way, they built on a 70-foot wide lot. It did have an amazing view. And at the time I'm recording this video, they have this same plan I just walked, the Winters plan, listed at $694,000, heavily discounted, listed previously at $902,000, so big discount on that one. And the Weston plan is discounted down to $839,000. So those are on 70-foot wide lots. Take a look at those, and if you need any help, reach out to us. All right, take care.